Hi guys, welcome to Astrology and Earth Magic. I'm Jen. I'm here to provide a little astrological wisdom to guide us through the total lunar eclipse that's coming up on September 7th in the sign of Pisces. That's going to be at 2:08 p.m. here Eastern Standard Time, and it's at 15 degrees 22 minutes of Pisces. So what is an eclipse? An eclipse occurs when the moon, whether it's a full moon or a new moon, is in close proximity to the lunar south or north nodes. The closer or smaller the orb, the more total the eclipse will be. So a lunar eclipse like this is a full moon, and that's the full moon phase. So this moon is within 3 degrees of the north node. Moon is at 1522 and the north node is at 1820, 18 degrees 20 minutes. So the effects really depend on whether it is conjunct the south node, so if it's a south nodal eclipse, or a north nodal eclipse. Now this one's a north node. A north node eclipse is things coming into your life. It's gaining, moving towards personal growth, movement towards your soul purpose, and doors opening up for you, kind of giving you an entryway into a new place. But you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone, which is that south node, and not be complacent and accept the growth and expansion however it may look. So a south nodal eclipse, which is coming up at the end of the month with our partial solar eclipse, that's a releasing. So that is like a, emotional breakthroughs. It's letting go. It can be really a life-changing moment, even like a loss of sorts that kind of makes you forced to let go of something, so that you are forced to, move away, leaving something behind. Could be ridding you of old habits, something that causes you to I can't do this anymore type of behavior or thoughts, and causes you to kind of go towards that open door on the other side, to move towards that destiny that you're destined for in this life. So what also plays a factor is the house and the sign of the eclipse. The sign the eclipse falls in. So and that will show how it's going to really manifest in your life. So, and where. So for example, if a north nodal eclipse falls in your first house, that's your house of self, you might gain confidence and a chance to grow as a person. So this is about change, growth, expansion, and really moving towards a door opening for you. If it's a south nodal eclipse, it's kind of it could be a release of insecurities, a release of self-doubt, letting go of fear, and out of just rejection or something like that. So just kind of this letting go of those things that are holding you back. If it's a second house, it would be a gain of maybe money, of things, of something, like you're given something, maybe willed something. If it's a south nodal, it's maybe a release of the need to be materialistic, loss of money that causes something good to happen, perhaps, like you're forced to do something because of that loss. Maybe even a third house could be that you buy a new vehicle that propels to this, so take a meaningful trip with it, that maybe something with a neighbor or a sibling, exciting ideas, revelations. If it is a south nodal, it could be a car accident that brings something into your life, maybe a car accident and you get hurt and your car's totaled, so you have that loss. But then you meet this police officer and you're single and he's really good looking, and you hit it off. So you never know. Maybe it will bring, that karmic, maybe you were meant to meet in that way. Fourth house can be gains with your home, ability to move or improve your life, or move to somewhere that you're kind of destined to be in this life. So maybe that's what you're going to be compelled to do with the eclipse. Maybe if it's a fourth house south nodal, it could be the loss of maybe a family member, perhaps, or something to that effect. So losing something so that you can then grow from it, which can be hard. And a lot of the south nodal ones, they can be difficult to deal with, because It's never easy to deal with loss. You know, if it's in your 5th house, for instance, you realize that you have a new gift, a talent that really can just kind of propel you and open new doors for you. It's like, I never realized I could do this. It opens new doors as far as career or something like that. If it's a 5th house south nodal, maybe it's a release of feeling, you know, inadequate at, you know, giving up on something and not working out, maybe even a loss of a child or a loss of, you know, you find out you can't have children or something to that effect. You know, very many ways that these can all play out. In the 6th, maybe the growth is gaining, you know, a better mental health, or other health issues, getting healthier, putting the work in. You know, oh, my insurance finally kicked in, so now I can have these things done that I should have, you know, my shoulder's been hurting, I can't work, but now that my insurance kicked in, I can have that fixed and I can go and work. So opening doors for you. 6th house south nodal, maybe releasing, maybe you get fired from a job, maybe it sounds horrible, but then maybe that will open the door to get something else, something better, because you aren't going to be staying at that complacent job anymore, and you're going to get away from it. And maybe that's something that happens like quickly, that isn't your decision, perhaps. It's just something that kind of falls in your lap, and you know, or maybe again, it's the release of those bad habits that are holding you back, smoking, drinking, anything that just is not, you know, that's not propelling you forward, that's keeping you from maybe gaining that respect amongst your coworkers, keeping you from being healthy. It's releasing that if that's a south nodal. This one's a north nodal, but we have the south nodal coming up at the end. So remember this as we get to the end of the month and we do our south nodal eclipse with our partial solar eclipse. So we also, with 7th house, gains could be relationship gains, maybe spiritual connections, you know, maybe deepening connections that, you know, really finding that someone that is karmically tied to you, that you're kind of meant to be with, that kind of twin flame type of feeling. South nodal 7th house can be releasing of negativity, negative relationships, perhaps things that are kind of bringing you down, holding you back. Even if it is a karmic relationship, sometimes if you look at your charts and you see that you know, you and your partner are tied together karmically, and you think, you know, oh, I'm meant to be with this person, or we're twin flames or something to that effect, that doesn't mean that you have to be together. Maybe there is some unfinished business from maybe your past life, very south nodal, unfinished business from your past life that you need to kind of complete before you're able to move on to what this life for you is going to be all about. That's a big one with the south node. It can be very karmic. It can be things that you are bringing in from the past that you might not even realize that you're bringing in, or why, and it's just there, and it's just something that just eats at you. So, you know, again, look into your south node and look into maybe your 12th house, find out what you're evolving from, and then you can kind of see how it all kind of goes together with these eclipses. So the 8th house could be, you know, what's a north nodal, what as a gain, maybe an inheritance, maybe, you know, but there could be that loss that you have. So that death could bring you that inheritance, you know, so you have a loss to get a gain, and then that inheritance gets you to do something that you have been dying to do, maybe traveling and going somewhere, meeting someone, or doing something that you were meant to do. So it's about that release. That's, you know, so sometimes the release can be hard to be able to move forward, but also moving forward can be hard too, because of that fear of what's there. 9th house, for instance, it could be that you're planning a religious retreat, or maybe you're thinking of changing religion. So maybe that south nodal is, I'm going to be done with this religion that I'm in. It doesn't seem to make sense for me anymore. And then I'm going to really focus on this new, because I feel embraced, I feel good. You know, maybe something like that. Even could be school, maybe releasing an old school that you're going to and moving towards a new one that is better for you, so you learn better. so that you grow more instead of just kind of, being one in the crowd. 10th house, of course, gains and losses is, within career. So maybe you get, a boost in your career. Maybe a door opens that has been shut for so long. You said, oh my God, this person left after all these years, and now I have a chance to kind of, put my foot in the door. So you want to take advantage of those doors that open if this is happening in your 10th house. To be able to move into that. Don't let this stuff get away. You want to look for those opportunities that are going to start popping up that you can then grow from with these eclipses. And then of course, maybe it's the South Nodal would be leaving a career or changing careers after a long time, maybe that you became so used to. That's just something I did not long ago. And it's really been very beneficial for me. Terrifying, hard, yes. Very stressful, yes. Learning everything new can be terrifying. But I think in the end, I got away from like more negative and more towards positive. So everything's been really good for the most part. 11th, maybe you're gaining new friends, new acquaintances that help give you a boost that in your life, that kind of bring you into teach you things that you never kind of knew before, or get you involved in things that really excite you that you never kind of thought yourself would be involved with. And maybe could be, if you're a South Nodal, a loss of a friend or something to that effect. But maybe it was a toxic friend that you chose to get rid of. 12th house, I like the best because this is a Pisces North Nodal eclipse. And so Pisces is all about that evolution. Now that is the final step. Pisces is the last of the signs, and it also rules the 12th house. So it's really before that rebirth. 12th house is kind of like, that, what do you call it? Purgatory like place almost, kind of a holding cell before you're reborn. So it's kind of maybe really going into yourself and learning and clearing out the bad so that you can be reborn anew and, ready to go. So that's kind of through the houses for just normal eclipses, but we're going to break it down to, this in particular eclipse, which again is in Pisces. And that plays a key role too, because Pisces is a mutable water sign. It's ruled by Jupiter, and the modern ruler is Neptune. So I like to blend those energies a little bit. I know a lot of people will go either way. I kind of like to blend them. So that's kind of like big dreams, big, just expansive dreams, and just letting your mind go and just letting things in, spirituality, like over the top, and just, really just kind of becoming one with nature, spiritual, and just really taking it all in, and just everything that's natural, finding beauty in everything that's natural around us, and what the earth provides, and then expanding from there. So Venus also has its exaltation in Pisces, and again that will play another role. So again, this is the end of our evolution. This is our last step in evolution towards, maybe it's an ending, but it's to a new beginning. So what is it that you are seeing kind of some closure coming in, and what doors are going to be opening for you with this eclipse? Again, you want to keep your eyes open because it can be very subtle, but if you know what you're looking for and you know what you want, and even if you don't, sometimes things come out as a surprise, and eclipses will do that. They kind of just hit you like a surprise, and especially a mutable eclipse in Pisces, mutable sign, they happen a lot faster. So it doesn't take as long for things to kind of progress. So you'll kind of maybe have the opening there, maybe you'll walk through the door a little bit, and things kind of all of a sudden progress really fast. So with Pisces, you're just gonna go with the flow a little bit and just kind of like, okay. Pisces also rules liquids and like water, oil, oceans, lakes, rivers, also bodily fluids like blood and other bodily fluids, also your feet and your lymph nodes. With Neptune being tied in, it rules dreams, the subconsciousness, spirituality. With Jupiter rolled into it, looking at the rulers of it is what I'm doing here. With Jupiter rolled in, it's again wisdom, expansion, things that you learned and how you're going to grow and use that knowledge to grow. And then you add in a little Venus, sprinkle her in there a little bit for a little sexual sensuality, sexual fantasies, but also harmony and seeing beauty in the uniqueness and the unusual around you, and just seeing the beauty in everything, really. So what can you gain if you let it in? Be more dreamy, maybe dare to expand on your dreams and create them into goals. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. And you hear, oh, I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to go to Europe, and, maybe expand on that a little bit. Okay, so how are we going to make this happen? And how are we going to, maybe all of a sudden something happens where you can get your foot in the door to do that, complete that dream. Whatever that dream is, everybody has a different one. So, kind of just, knowing what you want, knowing what your dreams are. The Pisces nodal eclipse can really open that door to be able to just walk through, opening your next step of evolution. Because really life, if you think about it, it's a series of locked doors. And as we grow and mature, we can then get through one and we learn, okay, now we're going to go in this room. And we're going to learn what this room has to offer. And then we're going to go in this room. So it's just about gaining and moving up and up and up. And then another door opens and then we learn from that. And it's up to you to really get the nerve to walk through those doors, seize the opportunities that are being handed to you or that, are just within your grasp. Because that North Node, that puts them in your grasp. So it's there. You just have to see it. You just have to keep an open mind so that you will be able to see it. So it will kind of come in as a download. With Pisces, also the ruler being Neptune, it can be very cloudy. It can be scary. You are going into a room that maybe feels like it's filled with smoke and you can't really find your way around and you're nervous and it's like, what's in here? I don't know what to expect. But you just need to keep, again, an open mind. Go with your intuition, especially with this Pisces. You want to use that intuition to feel your way around and you'll know where to go and you'll know what to do, but just you have to let it happen. Now, if you think about this, what's a full moon? So the moon is opposite the sun. So where would the sun be? The polarity is in Virgo. Virgo is about all those details and all like, okay, so this and this and this and this and all the little fine-tuning details, keeping lists of everything. We're pulling away from that with this eclipse, with this North Node in Pisces. We are just going with intuition more. So it's pulling away from all that nitpicky and excuses and, that type of thing, and moving away from that into a more spiritual kind of plane to be able to evolve from it. So it's really about just kind of facing your fears. Things will clear the longer you're in there. It will start to disperse and you just need to keep your mind open and be willing to learn and grow from each new encounter, each new door that you open. So, look at your past. The hardest things that you went through in life are the things that you probably grew the most from, that you learned the most from, and that grew you as a person. And those are the things that really make us shape our lives. You learn from bad relationships and that kind of thing, how to move forward and how to kind of navigate what's coming next and a new maybe relationship that's coming around. And so like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. So now this is what I'm going to do. So it's all about learning and evolving and just evolving as a person. So now with this eclipse in particular, So we have Mars squaring Jupiter. Now, this can be that, again, a little bit over the top. You hear about Rahu and how it could be almost like that greediness. So it could be maybe even widespread imbalances there. Overabundance of water can be harmful, kind of things to excess. This could be on a mundane level. You could see, you know, especially like water coming up and flooding happening. It is hurricane season. Not really much going on with hurricane season right now, but you never know. And again, when we hit those key dates, and I'll get into those a little bit, that's when things might happen. So again, you might see that little opening right now, and then in like 3 months from now, it'll get a little bit more and it'll clear a little bit more, and then 6 months clear a little bit more. Mutable signs, of course, are going to be a little bit faster than that. So this could even be oil spills. It could be widespread electrical outages, perhaps, you know, things like that happening. So if you have a flood, you know, you lose power for a long amount of time. So those kind of things. So that's kind of on a mundane level. But we also have Jupiter in a mutual reception with the moon. So that is because they're each in each other's, the house they rule. So we have the moon in Pisces, which Jupiter rules, and then we have Jupiter in Cancer, which the moon rules. So that means they're in mutual reception. So it's kind of like, you know, they're not in their houses, but they're happy where they are because, you know, they got like friends. It's kind of like the show Wife Swap, which actually I don't think they were very happy, but I don't know. You guys probably don't even know what I'm talking about when I say that, but it's kind of going in and like you're taking turns in somebody else's house, and you're just going to watch their house for them for a while, and they're going to watch your house. So anyway, so this can be really like learning, again, a karmic lesson, something that you're meant to learn in needing to move forward. You know, you could feel like this is my soul's purpose, and this is what I'm meant to do, and this is how I am going to do it. So it could be like that flash, that spark that just gives you that, and you're energized, and you're like, okay, you know what? We're, you know, Pisces, we're the fish, we're going to just go with the flow, and we're going to figure this out, you know, whatever it takes. Again, with that North Node Rahu factor, trine, Jupiter, it can also be, even though it is a trine, it can be overconfidence. It can, you know, be greedy and, you know, wanting more and more, wanting, you know, even disillusionment that can just kind of flow over you and sweep you away. And this is kind of what I've a little bit warned about in other, you know, videos about this upcoming eclipse season, that Jupiter can be excessive. You could see stocks soaring, perhaps. You know, we do have Venus in there as well, kind of, you know, playing a little bit of a role. Stocks soaring, money windfall, perhaps. Again, it could be this huge lottery that's coming up. Someone's going to win it. It's out of control, huge. So maybe there's going to be a big money windfall. Maybe a big promotion from a door you step through. Or even negatively, it could be rising prices, increasing of your bills because, you know, you're going out of control buying stuff. Surprise new, you know, taxes. All of a sudden this pops up and, oh my God, I didn't realize my new car was going to have this high taxes. No, you know, just things like that could just pop up and be that expansive, but like a negative expanse. Pisces, again, with ruler of Neptune, it's retrograde in Aries at the moment. So it can cause us to fall back on old habits and temptations. Pisces and Neptune, they have tendencies to overdo it, to over imbibe a little bit. It can lead things to problems down the road. For instance, the eclipses effects are felt again longer in the future than just a full moon. For instance, with full moon, you kind of like, you know, you hear about the werewolves and, you know, like, oh, I turn into a werewolf, but then once the full moon's gone, I'm back to my normal self and everything's good. Eclipse is not quite so much like that. So this is mutable, again, mutable Pisces. So you're going to see the effects within months. So key times when the sun and moon or the eclipse rulers. So again, Jupiter and Neptune, even maybe Venus. Sorry, my mind just blanked. So you want to look when they hit the trigger dates. So, and this is the first one, I think it's, well, the moon's going to be kind of hitting these dates first. So it's going to be around this 15th degree of Sag, around the 15th degree of Pisces, and then around the 15th degree of Gemini, and then Virgo. So when these planets or luminaries hit those spots, these are what we call trigger dates, and this is when things could start showing up. So Venus, it's going to hit around the 13th of December in Sagittarius, and then also the sun around the 7th to the 19th, with Mercury is going to be in opposition in Virgo, and then the moon when it hits 15 of any mutable sign again. So, you know, kind of match those dates up and you're going to start seeing things within that time. So keep a journal. Journaling is great, and just like write down, okay, like this date's coming up, I'm going to kind of look out here. So things you do got to watch out for, of course, drinking and other mind altering drugs can cause problems down the line. Again, falling back on those old habits. Even, you know, overindulging sexually can have lasting effects. Pisces rules liquids and body fluids, so your juices are flowing, and be sure to keep that in mind before acting on those sexual urges, because those juices that are flowing, you're 3 months down the road when you have that trigger point could be, you know, juices flowing, what does that cause? Okay, unplanned pregnancy. Definitely check that out if it's happening in your fifth house. Also, even with drugs, maybe you get into a car accident. If it's happening in your third house, drugs or drinking, you get into a car accident, you lose your car. So these are things that could cause issues with this. So when you're going back and you're falling back in old habits, or even starting new habits, or overindulging in things because, you know, of the feelings you get with them, especially, you know, we have Venus also during this sextile to Mars. So that is a very kind of like a sexual, you know, that's sex and passion. So, you know, unsafe, whimsical, one night stands, even affairs can begin during a Pisces eclipse. So again, that's what you want to be careful of. So instead of just going, maybe take some time to use that intuition to say, like, what am I doing? Is this right? Because again, something 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, and then 9 months down the road, what happens then? Okay, like not every pregnancy is during an eclipse season, but you never know. It could be, so you want to just be safe out there. This can be kind of that adulterous type vibe, acting without regard of consequences because you have that dreaminess, because you have that you know, way that you might be drinking too much, and, you know, maybe not thinking of the repercussions that can pop back on those trigger dates. So keep all that in mind. This is also not the best time to get surgery, especially if it's elective surgery. If you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. But if you have elective surgery scheduled, maybe try and reschedule it if at all possible. Because again, our juices are flowing. This is ruling our blood. I know someone that a few years ago had surgery during an eclipse, and I was like, oh my God, does he know that this is an eclipse? And he had a lot of swelling and drainage problems that kept him in the hospital longer. So you think about that. It's kind of like that Pisces, you know, hospitalization, 12th house. So he had drainage, swelling issues, unstoppable, you know, you could have unstoppable bleeding. Again, if you can avoid it, he couldn't avoid it. There was nothing you could do. So luckily everything ended up working out in the end, but you just want to, you know, be safe if you can. So if you're just, you know, getting injections of some sort, be careful of that, because, you know, could flow the wrong way, who knows, and cause complications. So anyway, also in hospitals, surgeries or surges, or of infections or illnesses could happen and pop up that could cause quarantines, spreading of a new COVID variant or who knows what, that could pop up and become a full-blown outbreak in a few months. Like you start back with COVID. I remember we were in the store, we saw a couple people wearing masks in the store, and we're like, what's that all about? And then all of a sudden you start hearing little things, and then boom, pandemic, everything shut down, the whole world shut down. So anyway, how can you cope through all this? So a great way, and even I learned a lot of things watching this show called Dark Winds during an eclipse, and you just kind of stay inside and stay away from it. Even submerge yourself in water, like maybe take a warm bath, because it kind of mutes that effect. Shungite, where maybe obsidian kind of will keep the negativity away. If you have the tendency to over imbibe, maybe an amethyst will keep those drunken effects a little bit at bay. Also, I have this church dirt, which I actually got this weekend. I've been trying to get it forever, and I've always been so nervous. So we found the cutest little church up in Maine where we go, and we got this dirt over the weekend. Very protective. Sprinkle it around the house. Also, if you make black salt, that can help too, just to kind of protect your home from maybe flooding or something like that. Who knows? Can't hurt, right? Also, you want to just really focus on the positives in life. Keep your mind focus on what you want to gain, where you want to, bring into what you want to bring into your life, where you'd like to expand. Even sleep on it. Pisces can, it can cause you to be really sleepy, so you can feel really sleepy for the next few months. So get your rest, sleep in if you can, take naps. Maybe have an extra long shavasana on that day. Maybe don't get up with the eclipse. Maybe kind of hunker down, pull the covers over your head. I guess it's in the middle of the day here, so it would be kind of weird if I did that, but naps are great too. Again, submerge yourself in a hot bath. That can really wash away all the negativity, bring it in, have some nice oils in there with you, and the warmth that just brings that calm and relaxation, so that when the partial lunar eclipse comes along at the end of the month, along in the sign of Virgo, we will have learned about ourselves a little bit more, our goals, our desires, and our spirituality, and then we'll be able to kind of get through those open doors and leave what we don't need behind, with that south node eclipse coming up. So the total lunar eclipse in Pisces, again, when the door to your destiny unlocks, make sure you walk through. Don't miss the chance. So please let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment, even if it's just about the weather and it's like, or even the house it falls in your chart, and just say, what do you think? Whatever comments, I love hearing them. I love seeing them, and it really helps to boost the channel a little bit with all that interaction. I love it. I love hearing from you all. Also, hit the subscribe button, and you'll want to hit that notification bell, because we're going on vacation to spend the next eclipse, that south nodal partial solar eclipse, on the continental divide, to really just feel like I'm on that crossroads, and to kind of like take it all in and really make that, at the crossroads, what are you going to take in? Which way do you want to go? And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so you want to stay tuned for that. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye guys.